Yo, 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 what's up, amigos? How you guys doing? Hope all is well. Hope you guys having a wonderful week and a weekend, I guess. I posted on Twitter, I'm like, what do you guys want to see? A large portion of people said they want to see about position sizing. And I think it would be a really, really cool video because I'll be reflecting on my trades, and this is something that I want to work on. You never want to go for home runs, but you want to have in your arsenal the habits. I'm a strong, strong advocator. Hope that's a word. I'm a strong advocate for creating good habits. So one of my habit is, I want to add to a winner because the plays I play have a long range. So I'm gonna do a quick short breakdown of what the potential video will be about. It will be uh, it will be how to add to a winner, when not to add to a winner, how you could lose money, the negative aspects of winning to a trader, and what are key ingredients towards adding to a winner. An example is you can't always add. If you're adding, and all of a sudden it gets against your average, or if the ATR is not there. So basically, I'm going to talk briefly about what are the key elements before you want to decide you should size in. It has, and then what other variables to be comfortable about. What are some of the risks that could go on? How you could lose? Because there was times when I was adding, I took my biggest loss because of conviction and because I added. Like I was 25 times bigger than my normal size. And I never do that. But I had a lot of conviction and I was deep in the money at it. And I'm going to show you guys that. And it was probably my biggest loss I've taken. Potentially my top three losses of my career. It was RKDA. I'm going to go through that. I'm going to go through some of my biggest winners. I'm going to go through how I got hurt, how I made money. I know sometimes I post on Twitter and it's like made 10R, 15R. It feels weird to post that. Um, why it feels weird because I don't know. I hope it doesn't come across as show off because for sure I take a lot of losses, but I try to put some values in there too. So it's not just like, hey, look, I made a lot of money because we all lose money. Okay, so if you like it, stay to the end. If not, that's what the video is all about. And hey, I am always down to learn, so I'm hoping to make this video. If there, I probably have some questions in this area because this is something that I want to work on, and I would love to make this better, like this realm of how to add to a winner, how to position size and go higher, etc. And I know I talked to Mike Katz and I listened to some of the other guys. I always try to listen and understand, even if I know. And I found some really cool golden nuggets, and I'll incorporate that. So stay to the end. Uh, I hate to say this, but click like, and if you enjoy this stuff, click subscribe. And if you have questions, feel free to put it in the comments. I always try to, whenever I post it, I always try to look at comments, feedback, and yep. So let's get started. Let's get started with something that happened very, very recently. So, what was the most recent thing that freaking happened? Okay. So one of the recent one was RAD. It's a it's a really good example. So here, okay, I have it here. So this right here. So what are some of the key ingredients? Frick, I should have had my. Okay, I don't have a chart, so I apologize. I'm gonna go trader view. Maybe not. Yeah, it's important. I apologize. So RAD. This was not my bread and butter, but the concept is very similar. And this is a name, as you can see, I was adding to a winner. I did not take any positions preemptive to that. So what are some of the key ingredients before you want to size up? Before you want to, if it's a play, you have a confidence in play. So what some people do, some of the alternative is people just risk crap load more. It's yeah, it's feasible. It all trading is all about matching your personality with how you think, uh, and if they match, the comfort is there. It's good. It's really really good. So some people what they would do if this was their bread and butter setup, they would instead of if their R was 1,000, they would risk like 5,000, or if it's like 100, they would risk like 500. So that's one metric to go about it. Another metric that I am trying to work on this year and as of recently is try to add to a winner, because the worst thing that you could have is conviction. I'm a fundamental trader, and often you become short bias, and I do decent, but sometimes it catches me off guard because if I have a lot of conviction. So for me, my personality, I really thought about a lot about it. If I know something has a strong wash or a strong ATR, so that's the first key thing you need to indicate what the ATR is going to be. And there's a lot of different metrics. Um, One of them would be, I guess, supposedly, I just pulled up this chart from online, the daily, because I don't have my Thinkorswim open right now and I don't want to put it in here. So this stock has gone from $7 and it went all the way to 23. Green, 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 green. So if it was gonna wash, it was gonna wash a decent amount. I did not. This could have been a trade that I typically make like 20 R, 30 R, but this was not my play. I don't understand this. This was an earning play, whatever it was. It was actually high institution, and it was high institution, and then it had a high short float. So I stayed away from it. Um, I started yesterday, but I just took paper cuts. So institution was 50%, and then float was 27%. So it's been squeezing when the profit taking happens. So one metric is how to determine ATR. So simply put, this is a key variable that you need to take. For you to add to a winner, you don't want to add here, and then next thing you know it bounces up. You have to have some sort of conviction that this thing is gonna go down. Like this thing, if it had worked, I was anticipating a move down to 20. Frick, I can't. I'll show you the 5 minute. I don't use this. I use Thinkorswim, but I don't want to load that up now. But pre-market area, something there was 20 was there. So my target was 20, 15, 20, and I think 19 or something was my target area. So I had a lot of room to add. That's why I was adding to a winner here. Another metric to add to, if you know that you're going to have a high ATR, is when it has dilution. So stock has gapped up 200%, 300%, and you understand the agenda. The agenda is, you know what, there's there's a lot of overhead, there's bags, and then you use the tape, etc. to, long story short, in those plays you can add to a winner consistently and you can add heavy. Um, and another metric for the long side is when you have a short squeeze play, and that's simply put is when the demand is higher than the supply. So if it's doing 50 million end of the day projection volume and your overhead is like a million or something like that, then that doesn't really, the overhead doesn't really count. The odds are that it's going to squeeze and it's going to have range. So the thesis here, if we're listening and we're on the same page, the ATR is the key, is the king to adding to a winner. You can't always do this. So if you always try to do this for every single one of your plays, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get stopped out. Okay, so now that's out of the way. This was not my bread and butter. I don't play big caps that often, but the daily chart was way too juicy and it had gapped up. So every day it's going, and I think yesterday it trapped a bunch of shorts and it gaps up, it pukes. It gaps up, and then people are gonna take their profit on gap up, and then shorts got squeezed out and it's hyperextended. Um, so that's what happened here. I bet there were a lot of shorts were in here. I was in here as well. Thankfully, my risk management was good and decent. I cut it. I think I was shorting the pops, and as it came up, I cut it. So I might have been green on it, or I might have been like small, like very small loss. Probably, I think it was probably green. I don't remember. Um, so this is what happened on Friday. So the tape was heavy. A friend of mine was short right at the highs, which was really cool. Uh, I wasn't. I shorted here, and I don't know what the heck happened here. I think I stopped. This is a 30 minutes, so my chart, I apologize, cuts out. Okay, I mumble too much. All right, so I added to winner, added to winner. As I'm adding to winner, we will go into this in one of the tracks because there's a horrible thing towards adding to a winner. Because if you're a type of person that freezes, you're gonna get screwed. Like, you will take your biggest loss and you will forever regret that you did this. And this has happened to me. This is why I am actually very excited to make this video. I would love nothing more but to share the things that made me lose money so that you guys don't lose money. So I went through that. This was working well, adding to a winner, adding to a winner. And then one day when I was 25x, it came to my average. I'm just like, what the fuck? I froze. And I took the biggest loss. And I top ticked the exit. Anyway, added to winner, added to winner. As I'm adding to the winner, this is a 30-minute candle, so uh, probably here. If we could go here, I think I was adding here. I'm pretty sure I was adding here. It's like 30-minute chart. I was adding on the spike, then I added a bit more here, and then uh, what price is that? It's around 22.70, 23. Yeah, so I was adding around here, and here. Um, and then I'm risking break even, or I was probably risking above this. So usually, what I do is I add either 1/3. It depends on the sizing, but the whole point is if you don't have a clear risk in mind, a level, you're gonna be in crap load of trouble. And anytime you go above your size, and anytime you go like a bit uncomfortable size, because we always want to grow, right? You want to grow slowly. You don't want to just go bananas on your share size. Whatever share size you're sharing, whatever your dollar risk that you have, then try risking your break even. So at this third point, there was no way in heck would I have, because I've done this method a lot, and if you're gonna follow this and you don't do this, you're gonna take a big loss, and it's gonna hurt you a lot. So what I was more than like I know for a fact I was risking break even. I would, when I get uncomfortable size or size that I know it has ATR in it, I know I need to step up to the plate. As Ozark said, step up to the plate and you gotta hit that ball. When I get that uncomfortable size, this here I was uncomfortable. We'll get into that. But I was risking a large portion at break even. If I can risk above resistance, that's cool. So usually like 3/4 of my share size. When I get to the uncomfortable size, 3/4 is risking break even. Then after that, I will risk off of whatever. So if I had an uncomfortable size, gets the break even, I have a hard stop. You don't give a crap. Capital preservation is number one. Ricky Analog says that all the time. So I would have risked break even, and then after that I would have either risked 23.31 or 27.28. So that's what I would have done with the smaller size, large portion, 3/4. So I did that there, covered here. I shorted, and then I cut it off quickly, I re-added. I try not to do this. So this play here, I didn't have. Like I knew the ATR would be there, and I know I could scale in. Um, oh man, I don't even know how long the video is. Oh shit, 15 minutes. Oh, sorry. So it's gonna be a long video. Let's see if anybody makes it. So this is not my bread and butter, but usually the right way to have been. You can log some profit. I try not to when I have really strong conviction. You can tell. Like all I knew about this one is that it would have a range and an ATR. I could scale in. But with big caps, man, these things can go up and down like crazy. I don't. Small caps. What I tried to do, something I've been playing around with. I try not to take profit. I know it's gonna sound weird, but they go here and then they just like sink. So as it spikes up, I double. So usually what I would have done with if it was a small cap, leave this here. The first one, I may have taken a small little bit, but I don't. Usually when it comes here, I double up, triple up to here, and then I double up here. So here I took a profit, then I reshorted, and here because it was coming to this area, and I was seeing support, and I was like, okay, well, let's I think this area or this something like that. Um, then I covered off a large portion. But the goal, this is not about this trade. This is about how do you add to winner. I wouldn't do this. This, mm, this I would do because the support level is there, even in a small cap. But adding to winner, adding to winner, adding to winners, and then when it broke uh, this level here, this level here, I put a little bit back on, like 1/8 or something, and then I cut it, reshort it, and then I cut it here again. I'm very tight. So this is all like 1/4, 1/3 size. Um, so one of the other things is if you guys are struggling, match your personality with your trading. But if you're struggling, uh, try to increase the number of entries you have. In my opinion, it has helped me a lot. So here I shorted, risking above here. This was a 1R. This was at around 22 something, 22 or 21.99. I think it's 21.99. And I was risking 20, it's like 12 cents, something like that. I was 22.20, so I was risking 20 cents here, which was a 1R. As you can see, this is not my bread and butter, so I took profit. And then what had happened is it broke this level. And then I was telling myself, I was like, look, this is consolidation. It's been consolidating. Look at the daily chart. And I'm so happy that I'm with a bunch of traders that are really good traders. So I was verbalizing my plan and I was like, man, if this falls, it's going to fall hard. And the fact that it's been consolidating, anytime something consolidates, it's going to wash out hard. So I was like, anytime it breaks 21, it'll be heavy. And as a joke, I was like, if I hit that guy at 20, if I see that guy at 21, 21.20, because there's a buyer there, when he gets out, I'm going to hit the bid, double my size. That's what I did. I hate breakdowns, but if it consolidates a lot, breakdown. So I added twice, and then I saw it was still mad heavy. I added 3 times. So whatever my share size was, I kept doubling, doubling, and 100%. This is a horrible way. I don't do that. Usually, I like to go spike shorts. Um, but here I added, I got uncomfortable, and I took a bunch off at 2080, and then I just went to normal like 1.5, or I covered half, so I was 1.5 size, something like that, and I'm holding till tomorrow. And I also had some puts. So this is a bad example of adding to a winner, something that you're not, something that's not your bread and butter. That's not my bread and butter. I figured if I go through this, some people will probably walk away, not watch the whole thing, but this would help them. Now we can go into things that I know about, things that I was comfortable with. And great. Uh, okay. This is a complicated one because I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about this. Actually, I don't. This was a while ago. But the concept is there, man. If anybody's still here listening to this, the concept's the same. It's all about behavior. It really is. So I guess that's what I want the takeaway to be. So this stock did not have a lot of overhead or something when the filing was off. And I'm gonna get questions about like float rotations, end of day projection volume, blah blah blah. But yeah, I can make a video on that down the road. Um, so this name I was long biased. This was when it ran. When did it ran? I don't know. You guys can look at the date. But so I have a goldfish memory, but on the filings, I believe either there was something that was off. So I know people would have thought that the ATM was there. I think it was the ATM is there and it expired, or um, the float, the end of the projection volume was higher than the supply. And I knew, unfortunately, longs would get hurt. So shorts would get hurt. And it sucks. But when plays like this come, I know that it's it's painful, it's horrible because I'm a short seller, but like I knew that it's gonna have a range. So going back to the key element, range. We know that it's gonna have a range because the end of the day projection volume is bigger than the supply. So I longed some pre-market, sold in. Uh, this one I just 1 hour risk. I think there must have been something else before that I was risking against, but it shouldn't have been far. And it pushes, I take some off. So this is the 9:30. It opens up. Excuse me. I took some off here, and I think I I was longing, and then I sold some here. I sold half here, long, and sold half here. Then I saw it was really heavy. I shorted. So even though if it doesn't have the pre-market volume is really high, don't be too biased with anything. So you have your fundamental analysis, and then you have your tape. So I had shares to short if I wanted to short. So I shorted it, and then the VWAP at this day, I remember I'm very positive. VWAP wasn't like that. It was something like VWAP was something like this. Nah, it was something like this or something. It was like something like this. Um, I shorted here. I covered I covered as it was coming. So in this play, I was extremely long biased, and I know I wanted to put on size if it became. So the tape here was saying that it's short, and I knew it didn't have overhead. And as I could see that it was basing, I covered my long around here. I covered my short, and I started longing as I saw it perked. And as it broke this area and it reclaimed, I added, and the concept of adding to a winner. So when it pushes higher, at this point, I had conviction. Like this may not, in hindsight, if you look at the whole picture, you're like, whoa, look, this is nothing. But if you look, this is pretty crazy because like I knew the ATR range would be there, and I knew the high of the day would be test. But I longed here at 480s, 475, 480, something like that, risking here or the whole number 450. So 20-25 cents. So the brain would be at this point to take profits or to take profits here. So this really goes to adding to a winner. I added to winner because I knew it was going to break the high of this day. And then I sold. I sold as it pushed higher. Uh, Added to a winner, probably tripled up my size. Now I was risking my break even. So as I was adding, risking break even for a large portion. Because this I know, if this name I know I got uncomfortable size. I was either risking this or my average. And then as it broke, it was about to halt. I took off 1/3 or something like that at the high of the day. Because sometimes it halts and it just washes. I didn't want to. It opened up. I sold all of it. Yeah, I must have sold some here too. And then it washes. It goes back to this support line. And then I'm adding, selling, adding, selling. But I'm adding to a winner. I'm adding to a winner. Yeah, and that's all. So the moral of the story here is when you're adding to the winner, you gotta do break. You have to have note that an ATR is gonna be there, and you have to cut your size. And here comes the interesting part, where how to lose crap load of money, and how you could lose a lot of money with conviction. So without going too much into it, this is the stock that I was up 25 times my size. Um, so this wasn't just add. This was the front sides. I was really small. Um, this so this day I started shorting at sevens. This was the front side and I was cutting it, so you can't see. I don't know how to put it into one. So now we're going into the concept that you have the ATR, you know that it's gonna have a lot of range because this is a stock that went from $2 to at that point to $7, and I know that a offering was potentially coming, and they had warrants. Long story short, the ATR was there. I had conviction of some overhead supply being utilized, and I think they also had some convertibles, and they also had warrants at like 990s, and they had warrants at 5, and Anson and all those guys were involved. So now we're talking about, we know the ATR is there, adding to a winner is a good thing, and what do we do? So here, this is the front side. I cut it. I know I cut it a few times here, and then I had it. So here I'm working, risking off of here, or risking off of here. I add. This is a 1 hour chart. Cover. Uh, Shorting, adding to a winner, doubling my size, and each time I'm trying to risk break even. I lock some in. It washes, and it breaks below this day. It breaks below this day, so uh, I had figured at the end of the day an offering would be coming, and it could potentially go down to $3. So here I'm pretty sure my average was like 725, 7, and I think whatever the heck this price was, 720, 720. This happened in like August, but I almost remember it like the back of my hand. So at this point, I am in probably 4 times my size. So this is a conviction. These are the plays that I have a conviction on, so I increase my size. Here, 4, 5x. I do a good job here. I cut it out. I cut it because I'm like, uncomfortable. I'm like, if it gets above this line here, I cut it. It came back down, and I was like, okay, it's done. It's done. Thank God it went up. Whatever I cut here, I cut lower. And I don't mind doing that because you always want to add to a winner. So now that I think about it, it might have been like 10x size here. And my average probably was like, I think I remember clearly, my average was like 740, 730, 760. I don't know. But definitely uncomfortable size. It goes down, and I'm like, look, they just shook out the week short. Thank God I had a decent stop. Let's put it back on. And then it pushes higher. And I think at this point, I freeze because I'm like, man, I think my average must have been 747 something. Um, I freeze and I'm risking against here. It goes all the way to the high, and I reshort. And now I'm adding to the winner, adding to the winner. This here, so they announced something on the midday. They announced their quarterly or something, and then it washed. Or they announced it here and it washed. Then I just, this is the area that I went up 25 times my size. And my risk was this. And I don't think I've ever put, this was probably the bigger size I've traded. I've never done 25x share size. So, but this was a time that I was like top, like I was really up a lot, um, and my risk was here. And then I went, I went into a freeze mode. Like I was a deer in a headlight situation. Because it wicked so many times, and it came out with their quarters midday, and they said they made like 200,000 a year or something like that, something stupid like that. So I was like, okay, the stock is done. There's nothing to it. They're gonna potentially put an offering after hours. They have their sales is not good. How can a company go from two to $6, $7? It has overhead. It has manipulators involved, and it could potentially do an offering. And overhead is there, and they're probably hedging against an offering, and they're dumping their overhead supply, and then they also are shorting because they know they want to make money on that side too. And I was 25x size, and I was actually maybe it's just me because I genuinely did not want to put hard stop. I remember this clearly because I thought market maker would come hit it because I had too much size. Like it would have been a size that I would like. It would have, yeah. It was a good size, and I had my hand was shaking, and it was shaking, and I didn't put it because I knew they would hit it. So it went there because I was risking that. It went there and it came down, and I was like, thank God I didn't put my size, and I added more. And when it came, I couldn't do anything. After hours, I took a loss. Uh, biggest, close to my biggest loss of my career. This after was just baby size. I swung it short. My thesis was right. I think at the end of the day, it did come down to $3 or something. But so the moral of the story here, as we hit the 34-minute mark, is if you're adding to a winner, utilize break even. If you get to the uncomfortable size, break even as a stop. If you can't stop out, don't use this, because all it takes is a short seller, one blow up, and one time that you freeze up, and you're done. So this is definitely a double-edged sword. But if you practice in a healthy way and you don't do stupid things like me, you don't increase your size by 25x. This kind of size I had never put on. I was pushing myself. But you got to push yourself in like 20%, increase your size by 20%, 30%, something like that. But there are benefits. So when things like that happen, you have TCO, you have RAD, you have Roku, like this one here. AXSM was the same thing. It had a on this day with some sort of an announcement, and long story short, I got a starter here, and then I added to winner. I doubled my size. I was risking here break even. I cut it off, and then it looked really heavy, and then just quadrupled my size up. I just kept adding. This is a 30-minute chart, so it does not do justice. But this was I think 15 to 20 hour winner. Oh, at the end of the day, I messed up, but up to this point, it was a winner. And the concept is adding to when it works, but you have to be very cautious. And by the way, at the end of the day, I think I only ended up with like 4 or 5 hour, because this ended up doing something like this, AXSM like this, and yeah, it was still a winner, but you get the point. So the behavior wise, I did a bad job. I should have called. I should have. Yeah, add to winner, add to winner. So it's all about behavior. So I added here. Uh, I added here. Probably was risking this, and then as it worked, then I was risking this part here, and then I sold up to here, and then I was shorting. Uh, Covered here, and then the VWAP was like this here, something like that, and then I added. Hmm, I didn't. Uh, I think I added here, here, and then I took some off. Should have added here. But the point is the concept of adding to a winner works. Uh, Long ass video, I apologize. I'm gonna try to make the next ones shorter. I hope it was beneficial. I'm gonna summarize it for you guys. So the key variables here is to determine if the stock will have an ATR. Use your own metrics. Whether that's small cap, it's gonna have a lot of dilution. And if you think it's gonna have it's up like 400% and has dilution, something like that. That's something you could scale in. Some people put heavy size into it, but I think, in my opinion, that's not a good method. You want to always scale in. It's a good habit, and because in the long run, it's safer and it's better. Make sure you have ATR, number one. Number two, when you size in heavy, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, add into the spikes. And don't try to add until breakdown unless it's consolidated for a long time. In most of my day-to-day trading, I always add on spikes when I'm adding size. And when you get uncomfortable size, make sure that you have a break even. Or if there's a resistance around that area, put put a put a stop just above it. The worst thing you could do is become just like freeze up. It's a double-edged sword. This will work. This will work really nice. You will have. There'll be a lot of times that it will be super beneficial. You'll make a lot of money. Uh, your winners will be bigger, but you can't do this for everything, and it's a good habit to have, right? It will. You always. You never want to do something just for once. Um, you, you want to create habits that will help you remain in the long run. So, all right, amigos. Comment below, post if there's something else. I apologize for the video being long. I'm gonna try and make 10-minute videos, I think. Let me know what you guys think. I know I ramble a lot, I apologize. If you enjoyed it and you stayed this far and you thought it was beneficial, give it a like. It means a lot. And let me know how I can help. The intent here is to try to help because, I've taken a lot of losses. I'm still working on my craft, and meanwhile, if I can help some other people, it would be pretty cool. So, yeah. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Put in the comment below. I always check it in the first bit. Take care. Bye.